I wish I would have had this stupid shit scooted over just a little bit. Because, oh look, there's one person just joined now. But, the moment I fucking turn on the broadcast, there again, that little shadow viewer just comes on a couple seconds and then goes away. Notice there's a little pattern too. Whenever I do that little scene change thing I just did just then. Like last night when I ended the broadcast, right as I did the scene change to the little final frame, fucking 2 more people just showed up. So, Very interesting. Very, very interesting. How you doing, Mr. Conway? I'm about to blow my nose and dose up. Hold on. Like, seriously, where does this shit all come from? Like my sinuses are getting strained just from blowing my goddamn nose so much. This is horrible. But anyways, here's to you, Dayquil. I made the multiple guggling sound and I just took a little tiny swig. It was a little too tiny because I was too much emphasizing the joke. Oh shit, what happened to it all? No, that's a different bottle. Okay. It's not even the right color, dumbass. Okay. So, you know, like, when I get in a bad mood, the storms make me feel better. And that's fun. But it was when I was kind of not letting stuff get to me that just my pure objective judgment of the whole situation was kind of setting things alight. I'm trying to decide whether or not I'm going to keep being depressed or maybe get a little angry. I don't know. Emotions are interesting. Especially when I can track how my emotions seem to affect world events. It's an odd thing to be able to track. But at this point, I feel like saying that I'm at a breaking point would be far too dramatic. I'm at the limit of my patience. Genuinely. At the very fucking limit. And I'm not upset. I just feel there's a point where it's going to be too late. You know? When trying to save the world, when trying to make a difference becomes pointless. If certain people don't take action. And I really just have a gut feeling. I can't intellectualize it. You know, it's an intellectual process of trying to put a feeling to something. But the feeling itself is not intellectual. My instincts are telling me either something good must happen, things are about to get very, very bad. Now, as for my opinion, my personal feelings, I'm just still waiting for people to give a shit enough about anything but their own narcissistic little fucking feeder bar jobs to realize that there's an actual problem with the whole world. And I'm just, wow, just, really? Nobody gives a shit? Can you believe it, Conway? Like, just nobody, really? They'd rather just keep doing this. I mean, I was pretty sure I laid out an objectively better path. And it doesn't matter who the hell you are. It's a better path. I mean, you people have mothers, don't you? I mean, if anybody should think women are evil, it's me, but I don't. Yeah, we got this never-ending effort to equate belief with masculinity. To erase the connection between belief and the feminine. And I don't feel like I'm biased. I don't feel like a man-hating lesbian. Do I look like a man-hating lesbian feminist? I mean, I like titties just as much as everybody, okay? I like titties. I'll be the first to admit it. I like boobies. Of all shapes and sizes. I'm a fucking man. But objectively, there is something really fucking wrong with the world. We keep brainwashing our sons to think less of women and our daughters to think less of themselves. Just be a pretty little princess and find you a nice rich husband. That's what half of them get told, isn't it? And if you were really focused on them not being a pretty little princess and doing good in school, why don't you just let them be a tomboy like I let my kids? Teenage girls, if you don't teach them about fucking makeup and being pretty and stuff, they like to learn about nature and they like to get dirty like little boys. I mean, there's a reason why women invented agriculture and built houses and all that shit that makes life nice, while we were out you know, throwing sharpened sticks at shit. And then, like, if two people would want to throw the same, we wanted to throw our sharpened sticks at the same thing, so we decided to throw our sharpened sticks at each other. That's what men were doing. While women were fucking building the basic beginning blocks of civilization. And somehow we've got all these dumbass religions in the world saying that it's woman's fault that life is bad, basically. Yeah, everything was good in the Garden of Eden, Just sat around and ate grapes and shit. And then Eve, that fucking slut, had to go running off with the snake. Kind of a silly story when you think about it. The way we're taught, fucking apple and a snake. Really, an apple and a snake, huh? Maybe it was an apple with a worm in it. You ever think about that? You ever have that dream when you were a kid? After learning the Adam and Eve story, having the dream about eating the apple with the worm in it? Huh? You forget, I've interviewed numerous Wiccans. I've made an effort to track what the esoterically inclined and the psychic gifted people in New Orleans, a very spiritually psychic concentrated city. I used to basically kind of take surveys. While I was dating them. Kidding, I'm kidding. I dated some of them. Roughly, half, third, at least a third. You ever had that dream? You ever had a dream about eating an apple with a worm in it? And the worm talks? I haven't been able to really remember that dream since impersonating Jeff Dunham's, the worm in the bottle of the tequila, I'm a worm on his stick, I know one thing. Oh, Mr. Conway, would you like to know another very interesting thing that confirms that I recreated reality in 2011? You want to know? Want to know? Want to know? Want to know the one thing that should not exist in this world that does exist now? It's an imaginary, fictional fucking thing from my childhood. It's a fictional fucking thing from my childhood, and now they're real. Glow worms. You know where I had my first little glowworm? You remember glowworms? Remember glowworms? Right? I had my first glowworm in New Zealand. You know where they found glowworms in real life? In the real world. In this fucking new quote-unquote real world that we live in? I know I'm being spastic. It's fucking... I'm amusing myself, Because they found fucking glowworms in New Zealand. Look it up. They're real. Glow worms. Worms that glow. Glowworms. The fictional thing from the 80s. The little stuffed animal that glowed, the glowworm. You squeeze it and it glows. Get your parents to hold it up to the light and the skin will glow on the hands and the face. It was a glow-in-the-dark thing, and it had a little battery-operated light, too. It was a glowworm. It was a little kid's nightlight. And I remembered those from my childhood in New Zealand in 2011 when I met Kira. And I said, much like when I said, okay, if I'm him, that means I'm you. That means right now I want you to create a child named Nothan Cox, and Nothan Cox exists, born around the time I created my first screen name, so, should be around 1994. He should have been born around 1994, 95-ish, I can't remember the exact year. I just know it was fucking Windows 95, and okay, I just got the beta copy of Windows 95, just upgraded from Windows 3.1, AOL 2.0, and I had a couple little screen names for a little while, and then I made Nothan, I think in 95, 94, 95. So that kid really exists. That could be a coincidence. Okay? Even from my perspective, there's a 0.03% chance that it's a coincidence. But there's a chance. But when I sat there and remembered my little glowworm stuffed animal and said, you know what? If I'm all powerful, let's add glowworms. Just as a thing to occasionally remind me if I start doubting myself again, that glowworms are fucking real. Did you look it up yet, Conway? Should I pull up a link? Do I need to? Hasn't everybody heard about that by now? Fucking glowworms. Maybe I was the only one to notice because, well, they're fucking not supposed to be real. I mean, they can't talk, they don't have cute little faces or anything, but they're still fucking worms that glow and they're green and they're in New Zealand where I fucking, where all this shit began. Oh, gotta blow my nose. But yes. But if you've ever had that dream, and I don't know if I've ever met any men who've had the dream, actually, come to think of it. Oh no, my voice isn't going, is it? Fuck. The parallel, Like, okay. What does the worm represent? The worm represents, in fairy tales, okay, the poisoned apple that the evil witch gives to the childlike empress goddess, right? Right? So the serpent, if it's Lilith, right, gives Eve the apple. The old witch gives Eve the apple. The serpent snake thing comes from the worm that was in the apple. So Eve would look at it Like, you know, that's decaying, that's death, that's rotting, it's fermentation. Probably going to cause hallucinations. Could cause me to die. Okay. Why should I eat that? And the answer is because you will know what it's like to be God. You will know the knowledge of good and evil somehow gets tied to this. You know, this is purely hypothetical. Okay, I'm going through the mental exercise of discovery. Okay. So the knowledge of good and evil, represented by the ingestion of something that's poison, basically the ingestion of something that's rotten, that could kill her or make her hallucinate, or, as the fairy tale goes, fall into a deep sleep. Which, in the case of a reincarnating goddess, could very well mean death, but could still just mean an eternal, like, sleep. A cursed sleep. It's fascinating to think about, right? There is sort of a parallel there. And I mean, as far as my instincts guided me in 2011, I knew that there was more of the truth that would set us free in these fairy tales, not just Mother Goose and Grimm. That was sort of a cover-up compilation, if you will. But there were even older versions, the Mother Goose and Grimm, of all of those things, and more fairy tales that aren't included in that people know of, like Peter Pan. Which is why, and I love how crazy I sound when I say this, in 2011, I said I would make a TV show that would explain this, and it would include Evil Peter Pan. And I asked my wife to name the show, and she said the name should be Once Upon a Time. Of course, she said. Well, Once Upon a Time, of course. But yes, it's fucking brilliant. I snapped my fingers and made it so. You know, the same way I made the fucking glowworms. There's glowworms, Conway. I don't know how I've never mentioned this on video. I've like thought of that so many times since I made the channel, but I don't think I've ever mentioned it on the videos. But like, I had a glowworm when I was a kid, and I remember that in 2011 when I was still like, before I made the final rule change that disabled me from really making any more changes, made fucking glowworms become real. And they are. And that's trippy. And it's just fucking weird, man. Glowworms. I have to Google it now. I have to, like, fucking... Fuck yeah, pictures. That's all I really want to see is the pictures, huh? That's not supposed to be real, okay? Does that look like it's supposed to be fucking real to you? Like, what's the point of that? How'd that evolve? We're worms and we're gonna glow now. I'm just gonna hang out and glow. Just Because, some fucking doozers might need to see their way around the Fraggle Caves. Like, why? Shit. Alright, I'm about to have to double up on the fucking Sudafed, because this is for the bird, man. So what'd you think, Mr. Conway? Just at least verify for me that I'm not hallucinating that. But then again, I could probably just be hallucinating what you say, right? No. The fact that people, want to pass me off as a crazy person, it's so fucking cliche. It's just so cheesy. Really? I mean, just fucking compare me, the shit about me, the things I say, the things I, want from you, to all these other morons that have come pretending, all of whom, every single one of whom, CIA, back me up on this, backed by Russia. Except for that one little crazy guy that's just hanging out in Palestine. But he barely seems to understand himself. Like, I can't help but feel bad for the guy. He just kind of seems sad and lost. Do I seem sad and lost to you? Where am I? I'm trapped in a little rectangle. Yeah. I just don't see how. The creator of the universe wanted to become a human being. He would never be interested in marine biology. Never. Doesn't matter how much we fuck up the ocean. Doesn't matter how much, 3/4 of the world is ocean. Doesn't matter how much the ocean being fucked up by us is going to destroy, most of life as it's currently known. The very idea that you think I would come here and not be interested in marine biology, marine ecology especially, I just don't know what the fuck is wrong with you people. I just don't know how people could possibly allow themselves to be this stupid with so many information sources available to them. But they're too busy, keeping up with the Kardashians and watching fucking crime mystery shows and Big Brother and just stupid, pointless shit that does nothing but corrupt your moral character. Glowworms. Glow fuck worms. Worms that fucking glow. Why? because I can. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's been a lot of those things. Just because I can. One thing I can't do is, force myself onto people. I can't force YouTube. I can sentence their souls to eternal fucking hellfire for what they've done. But they've obviously demonstrated they lack the intelligence to exhibit the qualities of self-preservation that qualify someone as sentient. YouTube's probably lucky I'm not a fucking crazy person. Because let's just say they'd be making a hell of an insurance claim by now. Because if it wasn't for my ability to create things like glowworms and living beings and video games and TV shows, lions and tigers and bears, oh wow, I probably just wouldn't be satisfied with the world, and I'd probably have to rely on other abilities, like my ruthlessness and cunning, and my pretty advanced knowledge of chemistry and electronics. As far as I'm concerned, my country's been invaded by terrorists. And if the people wishing to uphold the law in this country wish this country to remain a country, they need to round up the fucking terrorists. Their lack of interest in doing so makes justice and truth themselves. It makes righteousness want to become a terrorist. How was this country founded? It was founded when justice, truth, and righteousness became terrorists. And we said, you may have power in all of your ill-gotten gains, but we, the men of pure heart, have zeal. And you better watch the fuck out for that. Let's see. 2011. 7 years ago. June. July. August, September. I took 3 months to reconcile events and get my bearings. So right about now, 7 years ago, might have been the day I made the fucking glowworms. Huh. Very interesting. And now it'll blow my fucking nose again. Motherfucker. Ha. But anyways, I don't know. I don't know. Just a Galilean and the son of a carpenter. What would I know about marine biology? What would I know about Pharisee law? And if you could describe what was referred to at the time as Pharisee law, then what has evolved from it? In any lofty terms, what terms would you use? The rules of, say, usury, banking, capitalization, slavery, international commerce, tax, sheltering. Oh. Is there any evidence of that in the Bible? That the Jews, the Pharisees, excuse me, I don't want to say the word Jew, the false house of Judah that had came to inhabit Palestine and corrupted the land of Israel, my people. Is there any evidence in the Bible that they were cheating on their taxes? I mean, think about it. You have the separation. You have all of the Hebrews convert to Christianity except for the house of Judah. And then they make what? The Talmud. What's the Talmud about? It's basically the laws of a capitalistic society. Lots of laws about lending and borrowing and crime and punishment and what you can and can't do to 3-year-olds. But is there anything in the Bible that indicates that they were trying to cheat on their taxes? Can you think of the line? Can you think of the question? Can you think of the quote that I gave back to them? Render. Unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Now, why would somebody go and say something like that? Why would they have asked the question to begin with? One must ask. I wonder. Whatever could it be? Why would they have asked that question if it wasn't a political issue of the time? Clearly there would have been some debate on what you could and couldn't do during the Sabbath day between the house of Judah and the indigenous tribes. Because their king had negotiated their return, Herod. They weren't merely sent back from Babylon. No, they bought their way back. Yeah, he bought his way back into Palestine. Those Jews did not fucking belong there. That's the big fucking thing that's confirmable, that's verifiable in history, that I remember. That affected the entire politics of the situation. That you cannot understand anything about what happened unless you understand that those people did not fucking belong there. They were the Trumpists of our times. They were the internet trolls in the flesh. Literally the same fucking people. And that, my dearies, is canonized. But then I think Mr. Conway is aware of when I'm speaking like a human and when I'm speaking as a Nothan. And suddenly I realize my cliche over dramatic gesturing reminds me of the Cisco. Glowworms, brought to you in part by Platypus Incorporated. Hey, if that happens, no, that's probably, is that Carlos? Damn it. I was hoping it would be one of the little Satanist Russian trolls who don't believe in me. Because I could just prove once again how cute they really are. Fucking adorable. In 2011, I brought a fictional thing from my childhood into the real world. And you can find them to this day. Glowworms. Didn't you, like, did anybody else have a glowworm when they were a kid? I had a little glowworm. It was so fucking cute. I wish I had one. Look them up on eBay. Let me do that. I want to. I'll just go to images. Oh. There, that's the one I had right there. A fucking glowworm. Oh, it was just a face. I thought it had little hands on it. Maybe that's not the one I had. Illumina la Noche. No, they didn't have Spanish writing on the packaging when I was a kid. I'm not trying to be all Republican-y, but it might not be the one. Oh, what the fuck? It was like in the time of light brights. Remember light brights? Light bright, turn on the magical shine. It might just be the same. I just might be mistaken about the hands. I had a lot of different little toys and shit, you know? It really does look like them. Glowworms. 1980s toy. Is it Hasbro? Hasbro Preschool. Oh, see, you're so fucking annoying. You didn't stay long enough. They never stay long enough. Such little cowards. What, did you think that they weren't real? Did you think glowworms aren't real? All I know is that if they are real, they're going to magically appear in my magical little homeland of New Zealand where I was when I was a kid, when all the magical things were happening. Of course. Right? This fictional thing from my childhood that I made into reality that the little internet troll just couldn't believe. He had to go before I showed him the proof. Oh, look. Fucking glowworms. They look like up close. Bet you they're not quite as adorable. Oh, bitchin'. Yep, definitely not as adorable. fucking creeptastic. Oh, wait. Is it one of my little Satanist Russian friends who has such a hard time believing that what it says in the Bible is actually true? That I wouldn't just come here, but I could actually confuse myself with a human being. And even want to not be me, and want to pass off my responsibilities to somebody else. I would be that human, that mortal, that frail, that prone to the inevitable results of a stressful situation, like like impending death for unjust causes. Just kind of get to one. Especially right after the same fucking people murdered your wife. On your wedding day. She's my wife now. She never got to be back then. But I guess it could be hard to believe that I would want to be interested in saltwater reef aquariums, the ocean, and how we're killing it. Mostly by not caring where poo goes. Really? Nope. It's not going to be nuclear Armageddon. It's not going to be global warming caused by fossil fuels and some sort of over-industrialization. Seems like that's going to be what happens. Nope. Humanity's going to be done in by shit. Oh, is that the warning of the Golgotham? Oh. In a universe created by someone who invented the platypus and the glowworm, maybe. Maybe humanity's in some deep shit. John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. His name is my name too. Well, all except for the Jacob and the Jingleheimer Schmidt. I had a kid named Hakova once. He changed his name to Yakova. Then he changed his name to Israel. Trial is rebellion. It's a rising power. Okay, it's a dominance, sort of. Israel. Dominance over women. Rebellion against their mother. Sort of like Ishtar, which coincidentally is their secret goddess. Most of them don't even know it. let's face it. As much of a dick as Mars, Thrall, actually was. He still appreciated women. You know, men are simple creatures, easily pleased by their egos, and no amount of evil in a male form precludes one's desire to seek approval. That approval of your very genetic structure that only a woman can give you when you are satisfying to her. But a woman, if driven to evil by what she's convinced is a reasonable cause, anger at God, for instance, her father, resentment of simply not being primary, of not being chosen, resentment that I created her not to be chosen by me. Now, of course, we have an understanding that all is forgiven. And she was mistaken, actually. But that was her impression from the beginning. That was Lilith's impression from the beginning. Hathor, Ishtar, the mother and daughter of the devil you know. Well, the devil you should at least know by now. The devil nobody really realized was the devil in 2011. Before 2011, pride was the devil. Pride had already served his 1,000-year sentence by 2011. And his presence was exorcised from this planet as his Leviathan was cast back into heaven. Again, by yours truly. On video. Posted not but a couple days after it happened on this channel. And without pride as her servant, she had a hard time holding her grudge, which was based upon her perception of my pride. She was deceived by her eldest son, deception. Who else would be able to deceive a goddess? He was deception itself. But it was her who was the base of his power. Until I basically called him out. By removing the other two from the picture. He might say I did him a favor. And I don't think I can argue that point. What can I say? I don't like to make things easy for myself. That much should be obvious. Which brings me to the second question on my little share on Twitter. I mean, I think it's obvious. If the Bible's correct, if God takes human form, if God comes as a flawed person, if the creator of the universe wants to teach stuff, that's how he does it, right? Would he, at this point, have any interest in the ocean, considering how much shit we were dumping into it? And the tremendous capacity for it to destroy us. Oh, it's got a genuine talent for that kind of work. You don't want to piss off Poseidon. "2,000 years ago, I taught of the dangers of slavery, of basically taking orphans as servants in the worst way, of persecution of women for wanting equal status, for wanting the right to divorce their husbands the way their husbands could divorce them. For instance, case in point that you have. I don't know if you have that much detail about it, but it should be obvious. They're going to fucking stone her to death. Because you can't want anybody but your husband if you're a woman, unless you've been, like, doing the nasty with the servant boys or something like that. And that was the case that they were making against her. These people that were basically training little boys to do things other than polish shoes. And they wanted to stone her? Did anybody think to wonder why exactly they didn't stone me? What can I say? I might appear a bit hard-headed. There's a lot of obvious questions that should be asked that aren't asked. Questions like, how does one guy single-handedly sack a Roman-occupied temple? What were Gaelic people doing in Palestine? That's what a Galilean was. That's why the Jews mocked him for claiming that he could be a son of David. Why else would you mock somebody for claiming such a thing? Somebody who could single-handedly sack a temple. Someone who said that he should die by the sword because he lived by the sword, or at least implied it. Someone who can stand up to a group of men with rocks in their hands and tell them to fuck off. A Galilean. One of Caesar's personal guards. At the very least. If not Caesar himself. That's who you're talking about, dearies. Talking about a mercenary of Gaulish descent. Now, I'm pretty sure that I had lived 2 lifetimes in quick succession, at the very least. It seems like more than that. But when you get brainwashed to think that there's only the one, for decades of educational experience in your present lifetime, it's kind of hard to take the baby steps, you know. It definitely seems like 2. Could it be more than 2? I really want it to just be the one so it's easier. Huh. But an obvious question. Why did they ask him if they should fucking pay taxes to Rome? Like, should you pay your taxes, basically? Bear in mind that these were Jews. I mean, they were fucking Jews. You're talking about people who probably had a shit ton of money. They were Herod's men. They had bought their way into Palestine. And they were talking about not paying fucking taxes? Why? There must have been a political discussion at the time regarding taxes. It's not a fucking far-fetched concept, is it? Oh my god. Why would people in politics be talking about taxes? Laney. You see the connection, don't you? See, Laney understands that there's a connection between taxes and politics. And she's not a cup of coffee, she's a kitten. But they said to him, what would he know about the law? Because he's just the son of a carpenter and a Galilean. A Gael. Gaelic Marines, basically. Gaulish Marines. Called Mermen. Or marry men. I know nobody's ever made that connection. Well, I showed quite a few of my good old friends on Facebook. Well in advance after saying, get ready for evil fucking Peter Pan. And yes, I know how silly it sounds, but get ready for it, because it's gonna come true. And then they came out with the show with fucking evil Peter Pan on it. With the name that my wife gave it. Once upon a time. And then there's the obvious thing that scientists can look people straight in the face and say, Jesus was Semitic and was brown and short. And Jesus was a Palestinian, basically, is the bullshit that they try to pull. When, Greece occupied most of that area and Jesus was rejected by the Jews for being a Galilean and the son of a carpenter. Obvious connections, factual connections, people don't make. But then, his being a carpenter meant that he would not know what the law, because it was their kind of law. It was the usurer's law, the law of the money changers, the law of what Christ personally described as the false Jews. Again, Herod bought himself that throne from Rome. And these were Herod's men. It was a time of accusation. It was almost like a McCarthyist type of politics. And I suppose I could have been leading a rebellion. Certainly had the capability. That wasn't what I was there for, at the time at least. I wasn't exactly aware until I got there. That a rebellion needed to be had. Not there. Not there, of all places. But yeah, how could he be interested in politics? How could he be interested in law? Well, what they didn't know is before I was a mercenary, I was one of their slaves. The man standing right in front of me didn't recognize me. Piter. Evil Peter Pan. Incarnated as an old man. And what's interesting is we have this name, Caiaphas. Caiaphas is derived of Mongolian word for master, if I'm not mistaken, and can be found in other Asian languages in similar terms. Cephas and Sifu. Master. That's what it means. The weird little renaming thing that's written down. Not sure what to make of it. But Piter was his name. Or I think it was actually Peter, and I called him Piter to mock him. And it was Piter that meant a stone. Isn't that right, kitten? Hello. How are you? Okay, she's now going to lay down on my face. Okay, so apparently this is how I'll be filming the rest of the video. Oh, no, you're gonna have to slide down. Sorry, kitten. I love you, but that ain't gonna work for me. Sorry, child. Well, fine then. Anyways. What did Piter mean? Piter. Conway, are you here? Doesn't Piter actually mean something? Like P-I-D-E-R. Means kitten on my face. You're silly. Anyways. Kitten, have you ever seen a glowworm before? No? You don't care, do you? You don't care. I need, like, cough drops or something. My shit's moving down to my chest whether I want it to or not. Alright. How about kitten? Go snuggle with the dog. Ah, the plague. The fucking plague. So people don't think back then he would have known anything about the scriptures, because he was a Galilean. And we don't think today he could have known anything about fighting, because there's 18 years missing from what we know about his life. And today, even though those problems that I was talking about came to corrupt the religions of the world in the 1,000 years that preceded, leading to the rise of the horde that was based on corrupt doctrine, turns out, not only did I know what I was talking about back then, but those were some pretty important issues I was trying to discuss. Interesting. 1 second, please. Like, seriously, I didn't know that my brain could melt and come out of my nose, or that I had 15 of them in some sort of compressed space, just melting and because I don't see how that much shit has exited my head without my skull imploding at least 8 to 12 times over. Got what plants crave. Got electrolytes. Okay. Just, yeah. I just heard my nostrils squeak at me. It just squeaked at me. Anyways. So those obvious questions, they don't get asked. That obvious pattern, nobody's ever brought that up. Those obvious qualities, never allowed to be discussed in argument, to the perpetual nonsense that is brainwashed into thinking what we do today, or what most do today. But today, it's hard to believe. Why would I know anything about? What could it possibly have to do with saving the world? That kind of thing. What's so important about it? Why would I know anything about marine biology? Marine ecology? Saltwater stewardship? That's what it is. It's stewardship. It's caretaking the land. In this case, caretaking the oceans. Well, I think the very idea that I wouldn't be interested in the subject and I'll write about a few things when it came to it is pretty obtuse and ignorant point of view. However, I could see why someone might doubt. Why someone might struggle to find reason behind it. It's not like a blocked thing like these other things. They seem so obvious. They must have been blocked. They must have been hidden somehow. Right? But this, nope. I can't complain about anyone failing to understand this. Because understanding this is not a basic thing. Understanding this is more along the reasons why I was hoping to have created this YouTube channel. If the baby Jesus was here, would he like playing Final Fantasy? Or Civilization? Or Warcraft? Or Gran Turismo? Can you find any logical or understandable reason for that? Better yet, can you find any sort of esoteric, meaningful reason for that? Well, if I was allowed to have viewers, I might ask them if they could think of the reason. But I don't. So the question is, I suppose, should I reward the undeserving? I am a pretty nice guy. I probably will. After I attempt to play an ad. Oh wait, I can't play ads. This isn't a monetized channel. Shit, never mind. The one time I remember to play an ad during a broadcast, I'm on the wrong channel. That's perfect. Poetry. Why did God create the idea of Christ? That's why Christ likes video games. You see, without the existence of Christ, without the incarnation of God, what more than a video game would this all be to him? Not just a video game. A video game with cheat codes enabled. Yeah. How fucking boring would that be? So you have two different methods by which to alleviate this situation. One is the creation of alternate gods. Yeah. That's just the result of God being God. He would be bored and create other gods, so he wouldn't be bored. Two, in order to participate in the game without cheat codes on, the game of his creation, or the game of their creation. Sounds a lot more entertaining, doesn't it? Without cheat codes, then you have the mortal incarnation. But what's more is if you have a situation in which the programmer has to play without cheat codes, then any artificial intelligences that are given sentient status and have a construct of free will enabled for them actually experience true free will. Now, I would like to think my reasoning behind creating the universe in the way that I did was pretty sound, but I'm open for debate. And as I've said, I reserve the right to create another one. Open to input if you think you could improve upon it. I had this little suggestion box open for quite some time now. Not many people have really taken advantage of them. Too busy repeating nonsense back to me and themselves to try to avoid the obvious. Glowworms aren't supposed to be fucking real. Now, why would I like Gran Turismo? Let's start with that one. Why would I like cars? Why would I like art? That's pretty obvious. Why would I like invention? That's pretty obvious. If you take the culmination of mankind's scientific knowledge and inventiveness and then make it into an art form, then you have a car. Very expressive things, cars. Very, very individualized, characterized things, aren't they? Just a method of transportation. Well, that aspect of them is also rather convenient, I would say. You know, whole walking about the wilderness thing isn't as glamorous as it sounds. I wasn't really aware that it sounded glamorous, but people seem to think that it was. The weirdest theory I can think of. Just totally sideways distracted. No, nobody's watching anyways. It's Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Joshua. Joseph, Joshua, Joseph, Yeshua, Emmanuel. And what doesn't usually happen is being born father to son. It's usually father, skip a son, generation, then born. Like Lot, Isaac, and then Joseph. But what if Joseph in Egypt was Johannes? What if this happened maybe 400 years earlier the same way? I mean, what if the prophecy of Emmanuel, that was given presently, as were the prophecies of the end times? Nobody seems to be wanting to make coherence of these things. Because the fact of the matter is, history repeats itself. History experiences different permutations on lessons, as if it were all the result of God trying to understand himself and existence itself. Existence trying to understand existence. Just don't go calling me Eggsy. So would God like Final Fantasy? Would the baby Jesus enjoy playing Final Fantasy? I mean, Civilization. Well, that's pretty obvious. What are people doing when they play Civilization? They're pretending to be God. Okay? But Final Fantasy? Well, when it comes to reflecting upon the different lessons learned in the repeating cycles of history, no one's done a better job of giving people something to do while they do that. Every little different side quest and thing you encounter in a lot of the different Final Fantasy games makes you think about how it connects to the other Final Fantasy games. Makes you see how, generational esoterics and industries intertwine and cross over each other. And when it comes to personal development, Final Fantasy is one of those things that is based upon the common values that make good people. Friendship, kindness, protecting the weak, generosity, honor, trust, loyalty, respect. And it teaches about resistance to the dark forces that face us. But then there's the limitation thing. And the grass is always greener. The goddess taught me once. See, I didn't get to read that in a children's book. I had to enter a test dimension. Like a Billy Goat's Gruff dimension. Like a really realistic dream that you can't wake up from. And I would have to go back there every time I had to relearn that lesson. What a bizarre memory to have. Let me just say that. Bizarre. Because there were trolls under the bridge. And it was like a valley pasture in New Zealand, almost like, right? And it was, the little crossing was pretty narrow. And the cliffs, while they were grassy, was really far down. Like there was like fog before you could even see the bottom. So when you think about it, if I had to endure tests to prove my loyalty and co-equal desire to the goddess through basically holographic simulation, basically a video game. Couldn't you see why? And for, of course, lots of other reasons. Just being in the mortal coil. Being in the linear corporeal state. Why I would want to not only appreciate the artistic aspect of it, it's a fine achievement. The programming, the math, the thought, the storytelling involved. I mean, these people are playwrights and mathematicians and artists. And it's amazing what they do. But any reincarnated being who in other realms would be able to wield significant power, you know, or even at another time, when the world wasn't so limited. Yeah, I'll just make that a word. When the world wasn't so limited by expectoral reality. You see, once you have a dense population of one species of man, and all the other species of men have been exterminated, you know, their ears were too pointy. They're too tiny and fast. They're too fucking big. They only have one eye. You know, there's different reasons why different fucking things were exterminated, right? But once you get to this monotonous form of mortality, be real about it. It's a self-worshipping society. It just gradually phasing itself into its own arrogance, thinking that everyone and everything that came before it was ignorant and inferior. For an ancient being to be incarnated here, where everyone believes in nothing but the achievements of man as they presently exist, which means basically atheistic science dominates what physics can do, because not only has this population bred throughout all of the freaking interfaceable reality we have, but they all, being the democratic voice of expectation, being the perception that reality is based off of, have a limited mind, have a limited realm of possibility that they confine themselves to. And as long as most people think that magic is impossible, it takes someone extremely powerful, extremely fucking powerful, to override that in any way. Because let's face it, those were the rules that God put in place to govern this reality. And it's something that can change. Mortality itself is something that, in this present universe, can change. Now, as far as increasing the human lifespan, I don't recommend you go too haywire with it, but you'll find that somewhere between the ages of 4 and 800 is more than anyone can take, depending on how you spend your time. But on top of the appreciation of the artistry of this game, and the character development, and the lessons learned, and the morals that it helps you value, helps you dwell on. You know, you watch psycho thrillers too much, horror movies, and NCSI, and, you know, those are your primary influences. And then shit goes wrong at work, you'll wind up going postal, you know. But if that postal worker played Final Fantasy, instead of watching all that bullshit, we probably wouldn't have the term going postal. But then there's this lovely process in this game called leveling up. You know? And it reminds me of the first universe. And it makes me have a more intangible, anecdotal sort of evidence that and the muses, some inspiration is truly involved in certain art forms. The idea that through, well, in Soul Reaper terms, defeating with a sword an undead creature, some spiritual fiend, and releasing its spirit, you know, fighting gives you experience, makes you more powerful physically. But in Final Fantasy, you start learning magic and shit. And it's because of the nature of the beings that you're fighting. You know, when it all comes down to it, throughout the continuing sagas, you go, you know, 1 through 6 or whatever, those are actual, like, magical thing, that's pretty obvious. But then you have the 7 through whatever. It's debatable which ones are a part of it, but there's this continuing thing where the spiritual energy of the planet eventually gets converted into a power source called Mako energy. And whether you're defeating the spiritual-based fiends or the fiends that are based on that power source, you gain magical power. Well, of course, in 13, you're made into a l'Cie, so there's like a plot reason why you have the magical power. But still, the more you defeat these beings based on this, the energy of this planet, gain power. It's the same way a thermatologist or a Satanist might take a life to gain power. But in the game, like I said, it's like the first universe. In the first universe, well, that's before Peter Pan was evil. One second, please. Fucking mouse. How's it going, Joey? The last couple of nights have been a pretty condensed series of profound recaps. So, and that's 2 nights at least where I wasn't just staring off into fucking space. Oops. Okay. I think that's all for now. But good to see you, Joey. And yeah. Hopefully he catches the past couple nights' videos because he'd enjoy the recap. Didn't want him to think that this was going to be all about Final Fantasy, even though we finally got around to discussing it. But in the first universe, there was like 2 different types of life. There was life and there was unlife. And unlife was like a video game, exactly like a video game. It was just like being a soul that played a first perfect fucking shooter. Like, like only, started with sticks. I remember one time when men and women used to live separately. For the most part. And these eras, at least culturally, seem connected. Wherein you have one group that has no form of attachment, that just builds to destroy and destroys to build. Lives to conquer and kill and outsmart and all about strategy and leverage. And it just built upon itself, kind of. Well, you're still here and it still says 0 people watching. That's funny. But, let's see. Oh yeah, before I forget, obviously, the one side, no attachment at all. And the other side, like, as enlightened and spiritual and peaceful as people could be. Immortal. Sort of like elves. Like the way you picture old high elves. This would make a damn good movie. Huh. All the elves are women, but all the men are men. Men were born of leaves, and women were born of seashells. And that's where you get to the Peter Pan realm. See, in the beginning it was all boys. You weren't supposed to grow old. It's forbidden. Born to die, so we could be born again. It was fun. Had no regrets, no attachments. But then when men started to get attached to material things, then they desired to grow old so they could keep those things. And some of the women of the elves grew old and lost their wings. Before that, they were all as fairies. I wish Mr. Conway was here, because he would really enjoy this. So would Emily Blackman. And there's men who decided they would grow old because they wanted their possessions. Those became the pirates. And Peter decided he would do anything to have both everlasting youth and whatever he desired. And now I get to sound really batshit when I start talking about Tinkerbell. First daughter of the Muses. I'm sure there's much better names for her in Greek and stuff like that. But I like Tinkerbell. Later to be incarnated as the mother of Brittany. Presently incarnated this day as a girl named Brittany. And she has had enough of men for the most part. that was Peter's desire, and why she became the manifestorial being of a second, but like the first non-corporeal realm. And she became a magical orb. And, so did her 7 sisters. I'm pretty sure those are the only 7 muses you know about. Tinkerbell's just a fairy tale. It's funny how many young boys who are good-hearted will have dreams about Tinkerbell. Not those kind of dreams. Well, those too, but but something that you wouldn't expect. Tinkerbell sort of acting more like Jiminy Cricket. Like almost being like a narrator of lesson-yielding dreams. Just in the earlier stages of childhood. Maybe it was just me. That is not something that I took an effective survey of the Wiccans in New Orleans regarding. No, not really something I should even really be talking about here, let's face it. But glowworms. I'm sure the Russians are hard at work right now, rewriting the internet to say that the glowworms were discovered in the 1970s. But no. They were discovered in like 2012, 2013. They were just discovered recently. It was in 2011 where I remembered my little glowworm, my little stuffed animal with the glowing face. I used to ask my dad to hold it up the light for me, so it would glow when he turned off the light. So I'm going to make those real. Just because I can. Because I should be able to do something just because I can, and that's what I'm going to do to prove that I can do something just because I can. I'm going to make fucking glowworms real. And I did that in 2011. And glowworms are real. They're icky, but they're real. They're worms and they glow. And where are they? Well, they're where I had my fucking glowworm, of course. In New Zealand. They're really pretty when they're in their caves and their big formations, though. That one I zoomed in one up close earlier, Joey. And they remind me of Half-Life. You know, the ceiling worm that just like sucks you up and bites your head off. Right? Yeah. I didn't see the little part that bites your head off, but I know it's there. Get it? Probably there. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. It's a little tiny worm. Probably just like bites little mouse heads off. Poor mice. If you see a fucking little string hanging from the ceiling and a bunch of little mouse asses all over the ground, just watch out. That's all I'm saying. Especially if it glows. Because then it's fictional and it's real at the same time. And, that means the YouTube channel that you're watching is a manifestation of the restaurant at the end of the universe. Otherwise, glowworms are real, and I never found Nothin Cox on Facebook. He wasn't that little kid with the fucking baseball cap. He was like probably like a sophomore in high school at the time when I found him. Back there in 2011. So take that, dog, from 95. And he seemed like the right age to me. Nothin. That's Noathan. I never really knew what it meant. A lot of demons wanted to tell me what it meant. I found most of them profoundly easy to recognize, oddly easy to recognize, and just assumed that I wasn't meant to know what it meant. Speaking of mints, I'm gonna have a cough drop. Honey lemon menthol. For you. Now, it kind of looks like some derivation of Nathan and Noah. I didn't construct that in my head. It literally just Nothin. It like I asked God for the word and fucking Nothin. Just okay, and like I knew the spelling. I didn't know why Nothin needed to be spelled like that, but commonality between Proto-Gaelic and Latin, and verifiably in Latin, if anyone cares to look it up. Athan means prayer, and the prefix no means our. So Nothin means our prayer. I didn't know that until 15 years after I made the fucking screen. Oh, if you're really going to do that, it's going to make it where I can't go back. Fine. It's going to zoom back. Nope. Damn it. What the hell's going on here? Alright, fine. Versus the top push. Okay. I thought it sucked, but it didn't quite suck, so now it's just in that normal reduced sucking stage. Because if I put the camera high enough to where the rectangles were all square, then the thing would be right in my freaking view, and yeah. PS3. Suppressed broadcast. Broke bastard. And we are never spending our tax returns on luxury items again. Ever. Ever. And yeah, I know it's pretty sad when a discount PlayStation 3 many years after PlayStation 3s have came out, after PlayStation 4s are out, which is when I bought my PlayStation 3s, basically. Right when PlayStation 4s are coming out, that's when I decided to buy the first one. And then after PlayStation 4 came out, I had to replace that one. And then we went and bought another one for the other room. The following year. I don't know. Paid like $150. Shit. Oh, luxury. Big spending. It's my DVD player, my main television input source. If we want to listen to music, we put it on the TV, on YouTube. There is this old stereo that my mom left me. It's got 2 CD drawers and a record player. Yeah, it's got a fucking record player. I haven't hooked it up yet. It's just kind of sitting on a shelf where we had room to put it. And, I don't know where the hell I would set it up if I really wanted to. I mean, I do want to. I don't know where the hell to set it up. I don't have the room in this place for 5-inch wide speakers. Put it on my fucking... I have to put it on the table with the top off bare. The fact that there's a dinner tray table holding my top off water kind of says it all about how crap this fucking place is. And that's why we're not spending any more tax returns on anything but the land buy that will save the world. Excellent. So, Joey, if you're still watching, we at this point have 3 families committed to this land buy. One of which is a 20-year, actually 2 20-year-long friends that wound up getting together. They certainly weren't a couple back in the day, but friends that I've known since the 90s, who have possession of a very historic home in New Orleans, and they're trying to do renovations right now to be able to sell it. And we're all going to be pitching in together for hopefully at least 4 acres, possibly even multiple plots of land, because we're talking about setting up an animal shelter, a office strip, my retail location, the production area, like, we're gonna do this the hard way, ourselves, little by little. Who's with me, you know? One second, please. Alright, well anyways. I guess I should actually do some fucking playing on the game, huh? So, right now, we are in the temple at Jose. And the reason why I wanted to start the video here,
how much longer? She sure is taking her sweet time.
is because it's the Josie Road.
We've got places to go. We can't be kept waiting like this.
Stop pacing around. Be calm and wait. Pick spot. Shut up. Wait.
We're gonna come back here and do the puzzle all over again and get some free spheres. I think at least one.
Oh, much to your father. All these guardians, and so on. And I hear Mason taken with you. The world must look different when you're the daughter of Lord Ross.
Sorry.
This has nothing to do with my father. I'm traveling on my own as a full-fledged summoner.
Oh, is that so? Then try standing on your own two legs for once.
Have a good one, Joey.
Your guardians won't be able to protect
Glad you got your mojo back.
Mountains.
Paige, happy you're not a prison guard yet? Alright. Now I have to think of a stupid name for Ixion. Shitzion. It's so stupid I have to. Don't worry, I'll make it cool. I'll spell it with a Z. No, because that'll be racist. It'll be like anti-Semitic or like shit Zion, you know. Yeah, shit, no, that's just not right. Oh, damn, is that the already? Shit's in. Very good, very good. Okay. Doing this. That's wingnut, I farted, and shit's in. Alright, so. In the strategy of max leveling up. We do Josie, and then we go back into Josie. Well, oh crap, I gotta still do Josie. And then, the idea is, you level up right there after the temple where the Ochus are. And, you're gonna get your first level 2 key sphere right there. And you're gonna have a bunch of people in my sphere grid method coming back through, and they can all take these spheres that you're about to get, and that way everybody can get them by putting them in places where these people are about to pass up. One in the level 2 spot, or actually I might just put them further out since I've already passed the level 2 with Lulu. But you know what I'm saying. One right there, one right there. Oh, you got one right there too. And that way all the characters get the benefit of these spheres. Right, like right now. Where's Lulu? Where's Lulu? We got a magic sphere that she'll be able to drop once she moves right about there. And Nothin will get it on his way up. Aaron will get it on his way across. These people will all get it on their way back, etc. And that's why right now, before they go any further, well, first I have to go in and get Yuna's dumbass out of there. We're going to go do the puzzle again, and I will go ahead and, demonstrate exactly how to solve the puzzle, and
I'm
talk
good
to him
back to
first.
Yeah. It'd be hard fighting alone. Most of the other crusade.
He's going back to Besaid. Nice for him. Okay. Now, talk to the lady.
She was working until dawn, healing the wounded.
Okay. I guess I'll just let her sleep for now. Ah. Morning.
What? Morning?
Don't worry.
But it's morning. I'm so sorry. I'll get ready right away. Just a moment. Oh.
Don't worry. It's okay.
That's how she gets ready. She runs around and sits down.
Yo, sleepyhead!
Sorry. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me.
Really, there's no rush. Here, your hair.
A summoner with bad hair. What's the world coming to?
You could have woken me up.
We called to you, but with all that snoring.
What is it today? Everyone's picking on me. Oh, you too, Sir Orin?
Once Lady Una fixes her hair, we leave.
I hadn't really laughed like that in a long time. It was only later that I realized. The only one really laughing then was me. Laughing must have been the only thing keeping them going.
Aww. I thought this was the first temple you could go back into. It's Macalania? Huh. Oh well. So much for doing that part. Maybe I need to finish the storyline out. Oh, you know what's stupid? I never even played Blitzball. So KU's a part of my permanent team. And he starts out as a good goalie, but I usually use his wife Mayu as the goalie. And I use him as my
Also
right rear defender.
early? Lady Una, you must be exhausted after working so hard last night. Will you be okay?
I feel that I have rested enough, but thank you for your kindness. Will you be leaving too?
Yes. First we cross the moon flow, and then we head north in search of chocobos to replace those we have lost. Once we find chocobos, our mounted forces will ride again.
Huh? Aren't you missing someone?
Captain! Wait for me!
What took you so long? We're leaving.
You expect me to keep up with a chocobo?
Lady Una, I wish you good fortune. Elma, Glasgow, let's go. Now,
Eh? Can I just rest a sec?
no complaints.
Alright, so
Where to
I'm just
next?
going to complete out all the
We
story
cross the moon
bits.
flow.
Gotcha. Moonflow, baby, here we come.
Story bits, story bits, story bits. And here's the area where, in this sphere grid, everybody gets steel. So you can just start stealing from these Ochus as soon as you get good at beating them. And sit there and level up until you can just fill up your entire stock with remedies. And then every 30 remedies that you get makes an auto med shield. You can make 3 auto med shields before getting to Gagazet, where you can make yourself a few more. But for now, got all my stuff. Owlbear. Got himself for lots of money. You gonna give me something? No. Asshole. Alright, just gonna look and make sure there's nobody else in the other places hanging around waiting to be talked to. No, I don't think so. Now we're gonna see if we can go back in here and get those extra spheres. Well, we got everybody lined up. Ready to square dance. Damn it! I don't know why, for some reason I thought you could go back into this one. But oh well. It's just going to be Lulu placing that new magic sphere, and everybody's going to get the magic sphere, so that's good enough. But make sure I got good equipment for everybody. That's gonna be fine. He needs a metal shield too, though. Alright. Need a couple of metal shields. That's for later. When we fight that big ogre after macaroni. Now let's see if I can do any, that's definitely not going to be ready. There's no reason for the Dark War either. I just might as well do the fucking metal shield on him right now. I'm going to get something better for her. Gonna customize that one. Gonna customize that one. Alright, that'll give me 2 people that are not gonna be that annoying. I can't do it yet, can I? Oh, jeez. I don't know where I am. Like Alzheimer's on Final Fantasy. Riku! Help! Need to customize some shields. But for now, I have no poison wards. Whatever will I do? I've just been amazed at the amount of fucking nose blowing I've had to do tonight. Hold on. Supposed to be a Final Fantasy video. I wound up lecturing for 2.5 hours and I've had 20 minutes of Final Fantasy. Yeah, only third Tara.
Fantasy would kill.
Alright. Okay. Weak.
So you need someone with magic skills.
Oh yeah, I'm not supposed to use you yet. Thanks for reminding me.
Summoner unit, ready.
Nobody cares. Should have used him to kill the thing. But that's nice too.
Well then, what next?
Burn shit. So I guess what I was mistaken is it's just that those ruins right there you can get to after you get the airship without having to fight a Dark Aeon. And that's nice. But at least for now, we guarantee that everyone will get to have this magic by 4 here. That's who I want to see right there. So, first things first, we take out the wolf.
Go, go, go!
Because they're annoying. And now, haste. You're going to take your sweet ass time with this and just kill them slow and steal as much as you can. Arn has haste too at this point, but it's really wise to power break this asshole. Sleep touch can work on him too. Ishigo's got slow. Didn't take. We don't have a sleep strike weapon. But we have a sleep touch weapon. Ow. And once she gets hasted, she'll have a couple chances to use it. Alright, so I'll use Arn if I have to. I figure I might as well get Kamara in there because he can do much more damage at this point. I like so. Put him to sleep. Sleep strike works so much better. Still not slowed. He's running out of HP, people. Oh well. Let's get my high agility crew back in here. And steal, steal, steal. Oh, come on, one more. Well, you're just no fun.
Let's see.
I'll use her. So dramatic. Well, one more. One more. Oh, well, never mind. I got all day for this bullshit. Let's summon Shitsian. Wingnut, I farted, and Shitsian.
My name's Yuna. Pleased to meet you.
And I'm pretty sure, yeah. Put it down. So what's great about leveling up here, not just the fact that you can build those auto med shields.
You can all learn a lesson.
Here's where you finally get your Summoner's Stone. You can start mugging to give abilities to different Aeons. And the Ochu battle, you know, you're stealing the remedies. But also, it gives you a chance to not annoyingly use your whole crew, because you kind of need your whole crew for that battle. Or it helps to use your whole crew for that battle. But, you know, when you first enter this area, typically, I'm a little monstrous for this stage of the game. I've been leveling up very efficiently. Using every character, every battle.
You already have a Suna, I mean, hell.
Yeah, everybody's got a Suna.
Everybody's already got a Suna.
Except for Aaron. Not quite yet. So, let's see here. At the end of this road, you got a good opportunity to buy a lot of new and interesting weapons. And that makes this another great area to level up, because when you level up, you get your gil. You get your gil on, you get to make at least 3 auto med shields. Really, you can probably make the one for Yuna. I always do the stone proof auto med for Yuna.
What's happened to the Crusader?
Oh wait, I can't get to it right now. And then I'll just pile up remedies until I get bored. And leveling up right here is going to make the Thunder Plains easier. It's going to make the Seymour battle easier. It's going to make the whole rest of the game easier, especially the Unalesca battle. The more auto med shields you have, the better off you are once you get to that battle. So, using this sphere grid method, you can kind of get to where you can overkill all the little bosses here and there without doing any back and forth. It takes a little bit of skill to get both Sen spawns overkilled with your Aeons. You know, you gotta get them both overdrived. You gotta make sure you got Energy Blast. But then, when you get here, go crazy. This might be hard when you first get to it, but leveling up right here in place, it's great AP for where you're at if you rush to this point. And it's perfectly advisable to rush to this point. But if you go much further than this, it's going to get tough. And this is the key place to make it easier. So I think this is probably the best single leveling up spot through the whole gameplay experience, really. And if you level up here, the only other leveling up you'll have to do has storyline associated to it, such as getting Yojimbo and doing the capture quests. You do those, and then you're freaking just ready to monster Unalesca. But anyways, hope y'all enjoyed the lectures and the little walk through 2,000 year plus memory lane earlier, and Final Fantasy and fiction and musing and all the different subjects discussed today. And appreciate y'all watching as always. Appreciate everybody who hung out and chatted, or hunged out and chat-eyed. I don't know. Go conjugate yourself. Peace. Yeah, that was a joke. There's
way you treated me too many times before. Don't you know you love them, baby, too? Oh, you know I want you there, I wanna be right there with you. I know I gotta keep you by my side till the day I die. 'Cause baby, ecstasy is in my hand. Oh, when I'm holding yours in mine and walking in the sand. Oh, baby, you know it's fine. But now you done and piss me off. You ain't done something you shouldn't have done. Baby, I'm mad. I'm going on. Oh, I'm going on. I can't take it, baby. I can't take